Picture this. It's Friday morning. A small financial firm. The market has moved against them hard. Every model they've built looks wrong. The owner walks in. He doesn't hide in his office. He calls the team together, sits down at the table with them, and lays out the situation. Clearly, honestly, and without softening it. They build the action plan and they get to work. The owner right alongside the team. No panic, no false reassurances, just presence. Today, I want to talk about what that takes and what it costs a leader when they can't do it. Here's what I've observed about leaders in moments of chaos. The natural response is to retreat. Retreat into their office, into busyness, into optimism that isn't grounded in anything real, or into decisions that are shaped more by what people will think than by what actually needs to happen. And I get it. Chaos is uncomfortable. Uncertainty creates anxiety. And when you're the leader, you feel the weight of everyone else's anxiety on top of your own. But here's what the best leaders do instead. They move forward toward the problem, toward the people who are most affected, toward the discomfort rather than away from it. So what makes that possible? From what I've seen, it comes down to really three key things. And the first one is perspective. The leaders who navigate chaos well have trained themselves to ask, how will I look back on this moment in 5 years? Not to minimize the situation, but to keep it in its place. To resist the temptation to retreat into every crisis like it's the last chapter of the story. Second, mission clarity. They know why they're doing this. They have a picture in their mind of who they're serving and what this organization will become 10, 20, 30 years from now. And they understand something important. If you're trying to build anything of significance, you absolutely will face moments like this. The challenge isn't a detour from the mission, it's part of it. Third, this one is sometimes the hardest. They know who they're responsible for. They're responsible for their own emotions. They're not responsible for everyone else's emotions. Now, that's not indifference. A great leader has enormous influence on how their team feels, but there's a difference between influence and control. When a leader starts making decisions based on how people will feel about this, they start making short-term decisions to avoid emotional discomfort instead of long-term decisions that serve the mission. Hesitation sets in, decisions become hedged, and the people closest to the leader begin sensing that their leader is more concerned with being liked than leading well. That is a culture problem, and it starts quietly in moments of chaos. And chaos can show up in many different forms. Employee mutiny, radical new technology, sudden changes in regulations. And as leaders, it's key to remember that some moments aren't just problems to solve. They're defining moments in the history of what our organization becomes. The financial and emotional pressures become a test, not a trap. And here's what I want you to consider this week. The next time the chaos shows up, and it will, take a second before you respond. Ask yourself two questions. First, how will my response in this moment strengthen or weaken my key relationships? And am I making a long-term decision or a short-term one in disguise? Because here's the thing about chaos. It passes. It always does. And what remains is what you built inside of it. The trust, the clarity, the conviction that your people saw when things were falling apart. That's not just leadership. That's a legacy. Thank you for joining me on this Lead in 5. Now, go lead well. I'll see you next week.